Yo, it's good. Welcome to another hip hop album review. This is part 102. The album that I'll be reviewing today is Wu-Tang's latest album, A Better Tomorrow, released in 2014. For those who know, you guys should know who Wu-Tang is, but I'll say it anyways. For those who don't know who Wu-Tang is, they're a group from Staten Island, which consists of 8 members now. It used to be 9 members. But one of them passed away, Old Dirty Bastard, rest in peace. They got this start back in the early 90s, 91 to be exact. You had other members like RZA, Jizza, and Old Dirty Bastards that's been in the game since like the mid 80s. They were in a group called All In Together now, back in like I think like 84 or some shit like that. And then RZA, he actually had a career, like he was on the Tommy Roy Records. He was like a solo artist before he became a the group's leader and shit. He had one single called "Oh We Love You" by Prince Rakeem. That's when he went by Prince Rakeem. And Jizza, he actually came out with an album called "The Words from the Genius" when he went by Genius. Which that album is highly sought after. I've been trying to get my hands on it from the album for years. Can't find it anywhere. It's out of print. So even the re-release version that came out in 2006 is out of print. But I will get my hands on that someday. But anyways, getting back to this joint. So fast forward to 1993, they came out with Enter the 36 Chambers. The first single off the album was Protect Your Neck, and that was like the first single off the album. And like I said, they came out with Enter the 36 Chambers, which is deemed a classic album by many, and I do agree. Just loved everything about the album. The lyricism, the delivery by the dudes, the production, especially the production, is what made the album to me. And just like not just the beats, but like just like the shit, the slang like they were saying back then. You know what I mean? Just like I don't know, man. It was like something different. You know what I mean? Just from back then. And critically acclaimed album. And then throughout the 90s, a lot of the members had solo albums like Method Man, had To Cal, Raekwon had Only Built for Cuban Links, Ghostface had Iron Man, and so on and so forth. Which albums I have to do reviews on, but I will eventually. And then fast forward to 1997, 4 years after Enter the 36 Chambers, they came out with Wu-Tang Forever, which is a dope album. It's considered their best-selling album. Known for singles like Triumph, stuff like that. I kind of feel like Wu-Tang Forever is kind of it's pretty underrated in my opinion, because like, and I've heard people saying like, the production is not as good as Enter the 36 Chambers and stuff like that, because around that time RZA was kind of experimenting a lot, especially you could tell like around 96 to like and further up, like throughout the late 90s, he was like in his experimental phase. You know what I'm saying? He was using a lot of synths. Even on Liquid Swords that came out in 95, he was using a lot of synths and stuff like that. So it was kind of different, you know what I mean? But you could tell like his sound changed, particularly in 1997, because like I said, he used more synths and stuff like that, but he was still sample based. And then that's a very dope album. I gotta do a review on that joint. And then fast forward to 2000, they came out with the W. Give me 1 second. So they came out with the W, which I thought was a dope album. Another slept on album in my opinion. The W, I feel like it was pretty slept on, because like, I guess at the time people kind of felt like they was losing their edge, and around that time Wu-Tang was kind of losing their popularity, because at the time Rough Riders was was on top of shit. Then you had Cash Money, then you had Rockefeller, and I'm just talking about in the East Coast, you know what I mean? And I mean Cash Money's from the South, but but they were like reigning supreme at that time. And around that time, like sampling was kind of like not really the norm, because I know there's a lot of people who started using more Casio beats, and like their beats started sounding like a lot more digital. And I kind of blame I blame RZA, and I also blame Swiss Beats, because RZA, you know if you listen to his what's that album, Bobby Digital and Stereo, you can kind of see the difference. And I do like that album, but a lot of people hate that album because of the production. I thought it was dope, but that's another that I'll talk about that on another day when I get my hands on that. But anyways, yeah, um, it was dope, and then they had singles like Gravel Pit, Careful Click Click was like more like an underground single, but there was a video for that, and then they came out with Protect Your Neck, the Jump Off, the sequel to the original Protect Your Neck, and around that time, Old Dirty Bastard was on the run with the law, so that kind of affected the album too, because I believe he was on this song called Conditioner with Snoop Dogg, which was kind of a strange track, but over the years I've listened to it, I kind of appreciate it now, but at the time I didn't really understand that album. I mean, not that album, that song. And at that time he got arrested, you know what I'm saying, and but I do like the album. I have to do a review on the album someday. And in 2001, they came out with Iron Flag. To me, that album was kind of like the demise of Wu-Tang. At that time, like, there was a lot of shit going on. Like I said, Old Dirty Bastard got locked up. Capadonna was pretty much extradited from the group, simply because of the fact that his manager at the time was actually an FBI informant. So that kind of like, that kind of put a strain in the group and shit like that. So, and that album kind of just felt rushed, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, songs like Pinky Ring was kind of like, what the fuck, yo? Like, it just wasn't the Wu that I knew and that I grew up with, you know what I mean? It just wasn't that. And, like, it had a couple dope joints, like Y'all Been Warned, Radioactive, shit like that, but the rest of the album I just wasn't crazy about, you know what I mean? So, but I'll save that rant for another day. And then 6 years later, they came out with 8 Diagrams, which was like highly anticipated. You know what I mean? I remember going to the Rock the Bells concert back in 2007 in Miami. To me, the best concert that I've been to, in my opinion. I mean, everybody did their thing, from the local acts all the way up to the main lineup of the group. I mean, of the concert. I mean, everybody did their thing. And when that album came out, had mixed reviews, mostly negative, including for myself. Just wasn't crazy about the album. The production was the main problem with the album. It just felt like a RZA album, you know what I mean? And you could tell it sounded like something that would have been on his solo albums. And you can't do that, the shit that you put in your solo albums, you can't do with the group, you know what I mean? It's like a whole different vibe, you know what I mean? That's just my opinion. Yeah, man, that album was horrible. I have to do a review on the album too. So, and RZA, I mean, not RZA, but like most of the members, if not all the members except for RZA, obviously felt the same way about the album. So it's not like I'm just being a hater and saying this, but even especially Raekwon was like probably, and Ghostface were probably like the most vocal of that album, you know what I mean? So, and then fast forward to like 2014, they came out with this album right here. All right, Better Tomorrow. This is what the album looks like. Open it up. As you can see here, like in the background, you see like the skylines from like various cities from the world. You see like New York, Chicago, Seattle, Paris, LA, Sydney, Australia, places like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Alright. See like the skyline and stuff like that. Alright. There's 3 singles off the album. Singles off the album are Ruckus in the B minor, Keep Watch, and Ron O'Neal. I would say Necklace because Necklace also was, to me, I feel like it was a single too, because that was a song that kind of like because those other songs I mentioned, you know, people, it was kind of like under the radar, but Necklace was like the song that people would like really gravitated, especially like towards the end of the year. That's when people was like, oh, okay, okay, you know what I'm saying? So, you know how I get down, tell you guys the producers of the album. The production is done mostly by RZA. There was a couple that had been done by RZA, like Fourth Disciple does. I think one track. Mathematics does a couple. Rick Rubin, he's in the album production wise. Adrian Young, and some dude named S Bogart. I don't know who that is, but most of the production was done by RZA. All right. You know how I get down. Well, I'm just gonna keep it real with you guys. In a nutshell, I felt like this album was horrible. I didn't like this album at all. The production, everything about the album was the problem of the album. There was a couple tracks I did like Mistaken Identity. I do like. Crushed Egos was dope. Preacher's Daughter was okay. Necklace was cool, but the rest of the album I just couldn't get with, man. The production was the main problem of the album. You have a song like Felt, which I felt was kind of was like, it sounded like a down south track. Like, it just sounded like something that you would never in a million years would hear Wu on this album rapping over. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and I don't know, it's just like the production of the album was the problem. Again, it just felt like an album. It sounded like something that would have been on the solo RZA album. You know what I mean? It just sounded like something that would have been on his album. It, like I said, you can't do that, RZA. You can't do that. What you do on your solo albums, you can't do with the group's albums. You can't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know. And then, like, you know, I know there's a lot of MCs nowadays trying to avoid the sample clearance, you know, sample laws and all that. They try to use live instrumentation, and it doesn't work for every fucking body. That's a trend nowadays, and it just does not work for anybody. Unless you're the roots of anybody like that, just stick with sampling or whatever. There's nothing like sampling, sample-based production. You know, just like a sample and it just hits like the sampler, and the way the sampler just make a certain sound source sound. You know what I mean? It's just like the SP1200, the ASR 10, or the EPS 16 Plus, or some shit like that. I don't know, man. It's like I kind of feel like RZA doesn't have it anymore, because, like, you know, RZA, he's been doing movies so long. It's just he kind of like lost that hip hop spirit that he had before. You know what I mean? Okay, he's been in the movie realm for so many years. It's just that he just doesn't have it. And the rhyming too. The rhyming was like part of the problem too. They just felt uninspired. You know, I just kind of feel like they put the album just to, like, you know, shut the fans up. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure the fans, such as myself, would want another Wu album. And, you know, kind of like, I guess RZA got tired of, and as well as other members of the group got tired of the fans asking them, when are you gonna put out another album? When are you gonna put out another album? So I kind of feel like this album was the answer to the fans, and it felt rushed too. You know what I mean? You could tell. It just didn't feel right, in my opinion. I just didn't care for this album. I mean, that felt song. I can't get over that joint right there. Another song I couldn't get was Miracle. The chorus was fucking crazy. You know, it just sounded like some like hipster dude. Miracle. Like, no, like whatever happened to Blue Raspberry, Tequita, 60-Second Assassin? Like, what happened to those dudes? You know what I mean? Like, could have used them dudes, man. Or females. 60-Second Assassin was like the only member, male singer that I just mentioned. Everybody, the other two were females, but you could have used them three. You know what I'm saying? It just, I don't know, man. I just wasn't crazy about this song at all. I don't recommend it. I would say if you're a Wu head, definitely pick it up just to add on to the collection. But this album was a no-go for me. I just wasn't crazy about this shit right here. Just didn't care for it. I wasn't feeling it at all. I don't recommend it. And that's it. That's my thoughts on the album. I was very disappointed. And this is coming from a all-time Wu head, a fan since I heard of Cream, Method Man, and stuff like that. I just was not crazy about that album. I know it's kind of a half-ass review because, you know, most of the time I would you know, go through this, like, the tracks and stuff like that, but these tracks are not even nothing to mention for. And I would have to say Inspector Deck to me was like the best out of the whole group. To me, that kind of, he was the only one that shined on the album. Method Man, yeah, Method Man, he did his thing, but it's just like, I don't know, the rest was just sounded kind of late. And Ghostface Killer, but I would say Inspector Deck to me kind of shined throughout the whole album. And that's it, man. That's my thoughts on the album. Wasn't crazy about this album. I don't recommend it. Like I said, if you want to add it on to your Wu discography, by all means pick it up. But just wasn't crazy about it. Even Legendary Weapons had doper beats in this album, and that was a compilation album. It wasn't really an official Wu album, but it was a Wu compilation album. And man, that's it, man. That's my thoughts on this bullshit album. Would I want another Wu album? Not like that. I mean, and then that's another thing too. You have dope producers, dope Wu affiliated producers. You have Fourth Disciple. You have True Master, but True Master, he's in jail right now. You have Supreme from Sons of Man. You got countless other producers. You could have used Adrian Young, but I don't know, man. Dark Him Alive, G Club from Soul Cake Click. You know, yo, I don't know, man. I'm pissed off. You know what I mean? You know what to do. Check it out. Share with your friends. Comment what you liked about the album, what you didn't like about the album. Yeah, that's it. Hold it down. Peace.